The United States is a country built from the ground up by the people who live in it. The financial contributions from each and every American citizen are essential to an operational country.
The taxation clause is valuable to us because it improves all citizens' lives and is necessary to a functional country.
Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1, also known as the Taxation and Spending Clause, gives the United States government the power of taxation. This portion of the Constitution gives Congress the power to levy taxes in order to pay the debts of the United States and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the country.
What is most claimed as one of the largest issues with the Articles of Confederation was the lack of taxation power given to the central government. Some states were not giving Congress the necessary funds, either by paying only in part or by ignoring Congress's request altogether.
This power is considered by many to be essential for the effective administration of government. As seen under the Articles of Confederation, the lack of power to tax renders a government impotent. The central government was too weak and had no way to pay debts or fund programs. Typically, the power is used to raise revenue for the general support of the government.
With the power to tax implicitly comes the power to spend the revenues raised thereby in order to meet the objectives and goals of the government. To what extent this power ought to be utilized by the Congress has been the source of continued dispute and debate since the inception of the federal government. However, interpretations recognizing an implicit power to spend have been questioned.
The taxation and spending authority of Congress is addressed several times in the Constitution. It addresses the requirement for apportionment of direct taxes and the uniformity of indirect taxes, the start of revenue bills in the House of Representatives, the prohibition of taxes on exports, general welfare requirements, and several more issues. In addition, the 24th Amendment prohibits Congress and legislatures of the state from implementing any type of poll tax in order to condition the right to vote.
According to the Origination Clause, all bills for raising revenue must originate in the House of Representatives because they are the closest to the people and best understand their economic needs.
Many groups of people are in support of the Taxation Clause. The government benefits from taxes because they fund projects that the government supports. With the money collected through taxes, the government can sustain programs such as rehabilitation programs, the Child and Adult Food Care Program, the Head Start Program, and many others.
A program, for instance, like the Second Chance Act that we're trying to get reauthorized, right? A program that is not a top-down Washington program, and it actually saves money because it encourages states and localities to put in place prisoner reentry programs that keeps people out of this revolving door of prison.
People who rely on government-funded health care and education would also support taxes because they rely on funding to provide for necessities that they're unable to provide for themselves.
The share that the state puts out towards public education is very significant, isn't it?
Oh, correct, absolutely. It's over a third of the state budget. It's the only line item in the entire budget that's over $10 billion.
In addition, healthcare programs such as Medicaid are funded by taxes and allow millions of Americans to receive healthcare.
Matthew is one of the 70 million Americans, 1 in 5, who gets his healthcare paid for by Medicaid.
Without Medicaid, without access to really good medical care, I wouldn't be alive. Medicaid paid for all of those things.
As seen in the graph, the taxes are constantly fluctuating. The government has control to regulate these taxes to fit the needs of the current economy.
Two groups that would not be in support of taxes would be those who can afford health care and private education, and those who do not have enough money to live comfortably while paying taxes but are still required to.
Those who have the access to resources to pay for health care and private education would be against paying taxes or higher taxes on the rich because they don't personally benefit them. Those who can't afford to pay taxes would also disagree because for those living off of minimum wage jobs, taxes taken by the government don't leave them with substantial funds to live a decent lifestyle. In this 2016 graph, we see that around 80% of the $3.3 trillion tax revenue money comes from individual income taxes.
Dan and Steve give the same amount to their church, but Steve saves more than twice as much. The higher your tax rate, the more the charitable deduction helps you.
Without the power to tax the people, the government would not be able to provide certain aids for the public or keep in place government-funded programs. The Taxation Clause of Article 1, Section 8 is important because it allows for the ideal support of all citizens.